Hi guys, we're here with 5 questions from all of you, and we're going to answer these questions. In fact, you're going to ask them, I'll give you the answers. And correct me if I need to clarify them.
I'll tell you when you're wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, so question number 1 is it a problem if I eat my biggest meal right before I go to bed?
Okay, well that's a very good question. Let me just see if I could find the answer in my book here. Yeah. Okay, so here's this whole concept about eating before bed. You know, people say it's bad, you're going to gain weight. It really has to do with when you're starting your intermittent fasting. For example, if you're, like a lot of people have a hard time not eating at night, so what I suggested was you start your first meal later in the day, like at 3 o'clock, and do your second meal at 7 or 8. So that way you are eating close to bed, and that's totally fine. It really is not going to help you or hurt you if you eat at night, if that's one of your meals, and if you actually have your window about 6 to 4 hours.
Now talk about the window.
Yeah.
What's with the window?
The window is the time of eating. So let's say you're eating at 12 and 6. That's a 6-hour window of your meals.
What window do we want?
Well, you actually get into most fat burning between 18 and 24 hours. So that's like a 6-hour window to like a 0-hour window where you're basically, it's probably not 24 hours, it's like 23 and a half, depending on if you spend an hour to eat or a half hour to eat. But the ideal scene, I tell people, is to go for 6 and then start going to 4-hour window, because that would give you some really good fat burning. But if you have a very slow metabolism and you have a really bad blood sugar problem, you probably need to shoot for 1 meal a day eventually. But do it gradually, because you're going to actually, if you do it 1 meal a day, you'll heal the body and you have a lot of chance to recycle the cells and clean out all the damaged parts and improve aging.
It'll help your parts.
It'll help the parts of your cells that need to be replacing.
Now, if somebody's going to eat 1 time a day, Dr. Berg, or twice a day, how much food are they going to eat? Can they just like chow down? Can they eat huge meals or what?
That's a really good question. Let me get my book to answer that one. Let me see, that was on page 23. Okay. Here's the thing. The difference between a low-calorie diet, Karen, and intermittent fasting, it has to do with the nutrients. Are you getting most of your nutrients in that one meal, or are you going low-calorie and depriving yourself of nutrients? Because the definition of the word food comes from the derivation nourish, which means nutrients. So that we eat to supply nutrients. Most people eat for a sensation, which is good or bad, depending on what kind of food you're eating. So as long as you're compensating by adding more of the nutrient-dense foods that 1 time a day, and maybe you might enhance it with supplements or like electrolytes and the B vitamins, you're going to be fine. But yeah, you're going to have to eat more, but not to the point where you're like stuffing yourself like crazy, just like a really good meal.
Right. Well, you sort of opened a window. We're using the window a lot.
Okay.
Okay, but you said if you eat for pleasure, you have to eat more nutrient-dense food, but that's fine as long as you're eating in the window. So it sounded to me like you're saying it's okay if you're eating other things for pleasure. So let me
clarify that. What I meant is that there are, like for example, I get pleasure from eating a salad.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get pleasure from eating
liverwurst.
Eggs. I enjoy them. I love avocado, like the pizza recipe, right, with the cauliflower. I dig that.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. You can get pleasure from eating low-carb foods. I mean, that pie that you made, that pecan pie, that was pleasurable. The ice cream is pleasurable without sugar.
Right.
Versus something low nutrient. Yeah, it's like you're not going to get any long-lasting pleasure from that.
Right. So it's a shift from that old phrase, living to eat or eating to live.
Right.
You eat to live.
I do.
But you enjoy your eating.
Right. So, but the first purpose should be, how am I going to survive better on that food? We've gotten way off track. People are just going insane with the stuff that they're putting in their bodies. They're not even thinking about, is that going to improve my blood sugars? And you see this at holiday events or social events where they pig out. They know they're going to be hurting an hour later.
Yeah.
They know the next morning they're going to feel like crap, but they do it anyway.
It's a holiday.
I know.
I deserve it.
True.
What are some other ones?
My body deserves it.
Right.
I
I've been
worked
good
hard.
all week. I've worked hard.
Then good. You give
Everybody else is doing it.
your body a radish.
My father used to say, if everyone was jumping off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Did your dad ever say that?
No, he never said that one.
He never said that?
No.
Oh.
No,
It's the
that's a
same
good one.
concept.
It's a good one.
It is. It's the same concept. So, but anyway, our recipes sort of kill that concept because there's so much food that's nutrient dense and not going to kill you.
You don't really need a donut.
You don't need a donut.
Okay, what's number 2?
Okay, second question. This idea of drinking a protein drink after you work out to help you lose weight or
Yeah. So,
what about that?
so you have pre and post meals or snacks with a workout, right? And people have this idea that, oh, I need that, so I'm going to burn more fat, or I'm going to recover better. I need this protein powder, whatever. Actually, it's kind of funny when you think about it. But do you think that protein powder is going to go into the body that fast and replace any muscle loss? No, it's going to take a long period of time. What is happening is you're just basically putting food into the stomach, which is not going to be digested for hours later. You know, it's going to take a while. And then
What do you mean?
Well, it takes a while for it to digest. So it's not necessarily going to fix anything when you're working out. Does that make sense? So here you are, you're working out. People
Right.
are thinking, I'm depleting my nutrients. I better put it back in there to enhance their performance, whatever. Well, that food is not going to digest for the next several hours. So it's like...
But I think the question is really about a protein powder drink, like these protein drinks before or after. Is
Right.
there any difference drinking it after a workout versus just drinking it any time during the day?
What's happening is, again, every time you put something in your stomach, there's a change that happens in the stomach where you actually spike insulin. So now we just worked out, we spiked insulin. Insulin blocks fat burning. If you have insulin resistance, it'll actually won't allow you to even absorb those amino acids as well.
So even a sugar-free protein drink.
It's not a good idea, especially if you want to see results. What you should do is do intermittent fasting and work out, ideally in your fasting window if you can do it. If you can't, then eat close to your meal. But what'll
Eat
happen?
close to your meal.
Sorry, work out close to your meal. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah,
Eat
you need to
very
eat very
close.
close to your meal.
To your mealtime.
Yeah, and then exercise.
That's all right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you're here. That's why we have Karen to correct some of these mistakes.
See?
I think you need to help me do
I'm
the
the
video, the other
missing
videos as well. Sometimes I'm like, that didn't come out right. So the thing
It
is,
goes
like,
both ways.
when you work out, you're creating a kind of a vacuum. You're pulling fat from your fat cells. Okay, you're pulling energy from the fat cells.
Okay,
You're
that's what we
sucking it.
want to do.
Yes.
Yes.
So why would you want to spike insulin? It's going to stop the whole process. Let your body pull the fat, wait until your first meal, and then wait till your second meal, or whatever. And now you got some really good benefits of that workout. So now, on the flip side, people say, well, I need to consume an energy drink because I get fatigued if I work out. Well, you're just placing the stored sugar that you lost. And that if you're doing that, you're just like depleting your sugar reserves and you're putting them back.
I got lost.
Okay. Your body actually, when you work out, runs on stored sugar. It's called glycogen.
Okay.
Okay. That's not the ideal scene. We don't want it to do that. We want it to burn fat.
Right.
Okay. So what we want to do is mobilize as much fat as possible. When
Right.
you eat sugar, it shuts down the process. When you work out, your body is mobilizing fat. It's using fat as energy. It has to deplete some of the stored sugar, but then it goes after fat.
Okay.
So that's one aspect. And also, when you work out, you trigger hormones like growth hormone. Growth hormone is like something that's very beneficial to not just burn fat, but it actually helps you preserve muscle protein. So in other words, it protects you from the loss of muscle. So by doing intermittent fasting, people are concerned, oh my God, I'm not eating, so I'm going to waste away. All my muscles are going to go away. No, 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 no. The intermittent fasting protects the muscles. So you won't.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And one last point.
And one last
Your body even if you're doing one meal a day, your body will go into a state where it won't need as much protein. Why? Because there's something that kicks in called autophagy. Autophagy is the recycling of the protein or the cell structure, which is all proteins. It's recycling that more efficiently. So now we get into a situation that is, we don't need as much dietary protein because your body's recycling it.
So this would be a good solution for vegetarians or vegans who are like not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
So they should do keto and intermittent fasting. Then they're not going to have to worry as much about their protein needs. I'm thinking.
That's your thinking, Karen. Because some people are concerned, I'm doing 3 meals a day, and then I'm going to 1. Do I have to keep the exact same calories? Not the exact same calories, because your system is more efficient. Okay? Because you can imagine, that's like, you can't even fit that in your stomach.
Plus you want to be using your own fuel.
Your snack that you're eating between meals is your own fat.
Is your hips.
So in fact, I'm going to create a video, how to use your own
belly.
fat. The best
Belly
snack.
snack.
The best snack is your own fat. I like that.
I think it's good.
That has a ring.
It's mobile.
It's immobilized.
You don't have to heat it.
You
or
carry it
cool
around with you.
You don't have to
It's always with you.
measure serving size. I like it.
Let's
how can we market
coin that? Let's coin that.
We can coin it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Coined it. We coined it. Ready for the next question?
I'm ready. I've been born ready for that next question.
Born ready. Okay. How do I know if I need to support my adrenals?
You didn't tell me about that question.
It was a throw-in. It was a surprise.
Stumped me on that one. How do I know if I need to support my adrenals?
It's actually just exactly what I just said.
Okay. So it's real simple.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any adrenal symptoms? Okay. Number 1, are you stressed out? How is your tolerance to stress? Can you tolerate crazy people? Can you tolerate incompetent people? Can you tolerate slow drivers?
Wow.
How is your tolerance to stress? That's the big one. Okay. Number 2, how is your sleep? Do you sleep comfortably? Do you sleep long enough? How is the quality of sleep? So boom, boom. And then also belly fat. That's another symptom of adrenal. And then it goes down the list. I'll give you like inflammation, allergies, autoimmune, blood sugar issues can be caused by adrenal. Excessive thinking all the time, 24/7, can't turn it off. Dementia, high blood pressure, low vitamin D levels. Should I go on?
No.
Was that enough? Okay.
I think that's a good start.
I have one more.
Okay.
You get up too fast and you get dizzy. You go up inclines and your legs feel heavy. Those are real big adrenal symptoms. Oh, I got one more. Ankle swelling. That's another one.
Kinkles.
Right. That's right.
All right. So there you go. Support your adrenal today. I'm going to make a t-shirt. We'll have a new t-shirt line, and one will be the fat. The best snack is your fat. And then what was that? Support your adrenals. Support the cause.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I have another question.
Go for it.
Okay. Muscle cramps and twitching. What can handle that?
All right. So muscle cramps usually is an electrolyte deficiency.
And
I'm
what
talking
is
about
that?
Those are minerals like potassium, calcium, magnesium, and even sodium. Okay? The most common one, believe it or not, is the calcium deficiency. So let's say, for example, Karen, you're in bed and you point your toes down and you get that cramp.
Oh, I've had that.
Right? What that means is you need calcium. Now, the best source of calcium would be high-quality grass-fed cheese. Okay? The second best would be calcium lactate, and then you can do citrate. I don't recommend carbonate. Okay? But so calcium is one thing. Potassium is another common reason why people get muscle cramps. Magnesium. But if we look at the diet, the most commonly deficient nutrient would be potassium, second magnesium. In our electrolyte powder, we have all those minerals in the right ratios, but the only one that's very low is sodium because most people get enough of that. But I also put the electrolytes in
So
there
is
too.
that sodium salt?
Yeah, sodium that makes sodium chloride. We put both sodium and chloride together and sea salt to be able to give you some of it, but it's not much. And then there's the trace minerals in there as well. So that kind of covers all bases. Now, as far as the twitching, especially on the left eyelid right here to right here, that means that your pH is too alkaline in your body. And now you're.
So now we talked about
I know
this.
people are going to go, wait a second, I thought your body was supposed to be alkaline. Well, only certain parts of it, like the blood, which should be alkaline. So if the blood should be a certain alkaline level, and it's a little too alkaline, it's like more alkaline, then you'll start having this twitch.
So what do I do if my blood is too alkaline? I don't know my blood is alkaline. All I know is that my eyelid is.
Well, what's happening is calcium building up on that nerve. And if you look outside on your spigot where the water hose comes out,
Yeah.
you ever see those white specks that accumulate?
Yeah.
That's calcium that's coming out of the water because the pH is alkaline. So when we acidify the water, it gets all dissolved. So apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon in water with a straw, take some of that, bam, the twitching goes away. That's why with meals, apple cider vinegar with water is a really good thing to consume on keto and just in general.
All meals or once a day? Or?
I would do it in all meals, all 6.
I don't like apple cider
2
vinegar.
meals a day.
It's very hard for me to get
You
it down.
can get it in a tablet form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is that in the digest? Or it
It's
used
in
to
the
be?
digest.
It's in the digest.
Formula.
Okay. Okay, good. Question 5. This was my favorite question today. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Fried foods.
Okay, so what's the question? Like, what about fried foods?
I love those questions. There's like air.
So fried foods,
Good, bad.
it really depends on what you're frying it in. Like especially it's coated with too. Like if you're doing fried onion rings or shrimp, they have all this breading. If you could do almond flour breading or even the pork rind breading, we have recipes for that, by the way. It's actually in this book. So you can actually then deep fry it in coconut oil. You can also do olive oil, but I don't recommend any of the other vegetable oils like, Crisco or
What about avocado oil?
I mean, you could do that. That's totally fine. I don't know if that one will actually handle the high heats.
It does. I just read it last night.
Then
High
go
heat.
for it. Then go for
Avocado
it.
oil.
So there's not a problem with the fried foods as long as you're doing a healthy oil and you're not doing the carb with that thing you're frying it with.
Right. So you have to find it. The big thing is like what you're breading it with.
That's the big thing.
What about, we just got to try, or I saw a package and I bought it. Didn't try it yet. This, I think it's a chickpea based breadcrumbs.
I like that a lot better than wheat. I think I would like to try that. Chickpeas that they make hummus with is usually, it's a bit of a carbohydrate, but it's hardly any type of sugar, and there's a lot of fiber in there as well. So, like for example, I want to just clarify this. People like, oh my gosh, carrots. Well, carrots are they're not high glycemic, they're like medium glycemic on the index scale, but they have so much fiber, they will not affect blood sugars too much. So you really have to think with the whole picture here.
But you need a whole carrot.
Yeah, medium
not carrot juice.
A whole carrot with the fiber is not going to be an issue.
Okay.
Hummus is not an issue because it has the fiber and it has very low sugar levels. Okay? And that's really the key. As compared to apples, which have 19 grams of sugar per apple. It's like eating a candy bar.
All the fiber.
True, but there's so much sugar in there, it kind of offsets that. I'm sorry, Karen.
I like apples.
I'm sorry.
I know. It's sad.
It's very sad.
It's a sad thing.
Yep.
Okay, what if you're not trying to lose weight?
Well, again, keto and intermittent fasting is not just for weight loss, it's for health. It's to improve your health. It's for anti-aging. It keeps all sorts of issues at bay. I mean, yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, that's all I was going to say.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, until another 2 seconds.
Until you ask the next question.
Okay, good. Okay, so here's a situation that I have run into.
Okay.
Okay, now I am not naturally thin. I'm not naturally athletic. I have to work at everything. And I can progress and then like plateau.
Okay.
And It's frustrating because I can be really, really good, and then nothing changes in terms of my weight loss.
Okay, so let's just kind of give you a mini answer to that, because that's really this whole book. This book is about every single possible way that it wouldn't work with a solution. But there's a little checklist that I kind of go through.
Okay.
If it's not working. Number one, I want to look at, I always ask, like when people say, oh yeah, I did it and then all of a sudden it's not working. Well, okay, what did you do? So I list what they did and I find, wow, you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing. So that's number one.
Okay.
Are they doing it correctly? Okay. Number two, are they doing intermittent fasting? If they have a slow metabolism, they should be really squeezing in that window of eating, okay, and not cheating. Just keep it in there consistently. The other thing is that sometimes that because the fat's not going away, they think it's all fat, but it could be atrophied muscle. So the muscle is so wasting. It's not fat, it's just destroyed muscle that you're going to have to rebuild. Right. Over time, it's going to take a long time, especially if it's been there for a long time. An acorn to an oak tree takes time.
Right. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. Okay.
He's got a list of those.
Right. The next thing I look at, what are the other factors? What health problems? Like, do you have a sleep problem? Do you have a thyroid issue? Do you have an ovary issue, a cycle issue? Is there inflammation in the body?
Other missing organs.
Missing organs. Do you have a gallbladder? If you don't, you need some help with that. And then also, there's some other things that can speed things up. Like if you have insulin resistance, like most people have, which I'm not gonna kind of go into that because I've talked so much about it, but potassium, B vitamins, hands down, those are the two that most people need to make it just kick in a lot better. Okay, so apple cider vinegar will improve that. The quality of food, let's say you're doing your fats are soy oil. Well, that alone could keep the problem there. It's the hidden things that I'm looking at. And usually when you cover all those things and you clear those up, then I go to more exercise. Like, are you doing exercise? No, I'm not. Okay, well, plug that in there and let's take it to the next level. And at that point, the person is going to lose weight, or it's going to be slow and they're going to gradually get better over time. So there's always a way you can improve things. What I did is I just put every single possible barrier that you can run into and things you didn't even think of, because I've done this for a few years,
Long
like
time.
29 years. So I ran into every single problem you can possibly imagine that, may not be a problem, but it may.
Okay, so you touched on something else. I never, up until recently, ever had a belly. I had hips, but never belly. Hit a certain age. Little belly going on. Little bit of belly. Got a little bit of belly going on. But also you say, okay, that could be adrenal, or that is adrenal, but I'm exercising. How much exercise is too much exercise? When you have adrenal, when do I exercise? How do I know if the exercise is too much, not enough? It's very confusing.
There's things that are really, really important and things that are not very important.
Okay.
Or maybe they're less important.
Okay.
The most important thing is driving insulin down, okay? Keeping insulin down. So that would be the eating. Correct eating will give you 85% of the results.
Okay.
Exercise will give you 15%. Oh. So people that work out and think, well, I can eat what I want because I'm extra burning up the calories, good luck on that one.
Wow.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that the adrenal hormones, especially cortisol, tend to turn your own muscle into sugar, raising insulin.
Turns your muscle into sugar.
Yeah, because it's in a state of flight or fight or stress. So it's just going to mobilize that muscle and convert that into sugar, and that's going to end up with a high insulin. So now we're trying to lower insulin. So in reality, the problem with the adrenal is it turns you into an insulin problem, and you become a diabetic eventually. So it boils down to that insulin. So we have all these things that can do it: eating sugar, eating too frequently, and stress. So in that case, you have to support the adrenal, take nutrition for that belly fat.
Okay, so say I have a very stressful life, but I'm not eating any sugar.
Right.
But I have a really stressful life, I'm not really sleeping. working. We heard this all the time, right, in the practice. We live in the DC area, and people will come in, all kinds of jobs. I sleep 2 hours a night. I sleep 3 hours a night. I have an incredibly stressful job. Say I had that lifestyle and I ate no sugar. Are you telling me that cortisol that comes from the stress is going to turn my protein, my body protein, into sugar?
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
I just want to make sure I understood that. I never really understood that before. You've witnessed an understanding right here. Well, that's fascinating.
It is.
So, I mean, that could be frustrating, of people saying, I'm doing everything right in the diet and I'm just not losing any weight.
You take any person that has gained weight in their life and find out what age, what point of time they start gaining weight, and then just ask them what happened just before you started gaining weight. And you're going to find a lot of people are going to mention a stressful situation. So that's going to be spiking the cortisol. Bam. I mean, I got pregnant. Wow.
That's stressful.
I had a divorce. I had a loss of a loved one.
Right.
Bam. So it happens.
It happens. It happens a lot, actually.
Yes.
So all that can be supported by the adrenal, taking care of your adrenals, making sure that you're doing things to de-stressify, right?
You
Walks,
have to remove the thing that's stressing you out. Okay, so if it's the neighbors,
What if it's your job?
you have to move.
What if it's your job?
Get a new job. And actually support and build back up the adrenal. There's acupressure techniques I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
They do really work. I use the techniques. And then nutrition and supplements and things like that while you remove the actual source of that stress if it's still there.
Right.
In the
And I
environment.
think even if it's your job, like some people just can't end their job.
Are you saying some people hate their jobs?
No,
but they can't
maybe
end it?
they love their job, but it's still incredibly stressful. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a good job and it's financially a good job, but it's incredibly stressful. There are still things they need to do, they absolutely need to do to balance the stress. Like I said, like the walking or the relaxation time or whatever.
You're just going to have to improve it somehow. You're going to have to improve it. You just can't get in a situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's not a good place to be in. So you got to do something to improve it, at least.
Sometimes
make it less of a problem.
That's staying away from negative people
That's the big one.
or critical people.
Overly critical people.
Overly
so
critical
if you have
people.
a YouTube channel, you may have some haters.
Have an example.
You have
Say
some
you have
haters.
a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you have haters down there that
Yeah.
basically will make chopped liver out of you. Thank goodness we can delete those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
You can delete those guys too.
Regardless
you
of-
really have to.
Regardless of who you are, you're going to get haters. I mean, it just happens.
It's just a nutritional deficiency probably and insulin resistance.
I mean, here I am. I'm creating this video on how to help a child, lose weight.
Right.
And it's just like great advice, and I get a thumbs down from someone.
Right.
I'm like,
Really?
why?
So yeah, you have to remove the stress from your life. So changing the food, adding walks, removing the negative people from your environment.
Strangulation therapies. Yes.
No, delete that. But sometimes you feel like that.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just you have to get that stuff out of your life as best you can.
Control Alt Delete.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. Control Alt Delete right here.
Okay.
That's the therapy.
That's good.
Okay. So you have one last question, even though we're doing 5. Actually, we're at 7.
No, we're at 7. That was a just in case, and I think that's a wrap.
Okay. Great.
Thanks, though, for coming out.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time.
We'll get to as many questions as we can.
That's right.
Yeah.
See ya.